Chapter 35 I haven't lost yet. At this moment, Hua Yuan had no intentions of going easy on Wu Feng. His palms became jade in color as he unleashed controlling crane capturing dragon on Wu Feng. With a bang, Wu Feng was shoved more than 5 meters away from Hua Yuan. This time around, she couldn't maintain her balance. As a result of this, Wu Feng fell down and rolled on the ground. Hua Yuan's cultivation wasn't as high as Wu Feng's, but he was still someone with rank 17 soul power. He was a true soul master. His all-out controlling crane capturing dragon and mysterious jade palm had still been relatively heavy blows. Wu Feng couldn't help but shake slightly as she got up. With an she spat out a mouthful of blood. She'd clearly been injured. The students standing in the spectators stage were all left flabbergasted. Before the match, who would have predicted an outcome like this? Who could have? Hua Yuan had actually managed to gain the upper hand. Beneath his relentless attacks, Wu Feng hadn't even had a chance to counterattack. Both Dalu and Doulu were astonished. Xiao's eyes had widened in surprise, and Josikin was chewing on his finger nervously. The only exception to all of this was Cao Jingtuan, who was currently staring at Hua Yuan with sparkling eyes. From their outer appearances, it seemed like both sides hadn't used any soul skills yet. Yet somehow, an assault-type soul master had actually lost to a control-type soul master in hand-to-hand combat. Furthermore, this was with such a disparity in cultivation between the two. Wu Feng, who had the red dragon martial soul, was definitely much stronger than Hua Yuan in terms of physique alone. Her speed, power, and flexibility were all greater than Hua Yuan's. What had happened? It didn't matter that she'd been kicked in the bum, yet Hua Yuan's palms had sent her flying and forced her to cough up blood. Her defense had been strengthened considerably under the effects of her red dragon martial soul, yet she'd actually been forced to cough up some blood. Since when did Hua Yuan have the ability to do something like this? Hua Yuan basically hadn't participated in any direct confrontations throughout the entire freshman assessment, except for the time that he'd used the ghost shadow perplexing track against Daluo's team. Because of that, his hand-to-hand abilities had been entirely overlooked. Only now did everyone realize how wrong they'd been about him. This was especially so for those that weren't at the 2-ring rank yet. They couldn't help but ask themselves, if they were to fight against Hua Yuan in a close combat fight, could they win? Had Wu Feng's loss truly been due to carelessness alone? Wang Dong couldn't help but stare blankly. He thought of many ways for Hua Yuan to stave off Wu Feng, but he'd never considered the possibility of hand-to-hand combat. Hua Yuan had actually decided to use his own weakness against his opponent's strong point. Yet he was winning. The most astonished person present was Wu Feng herself. She hadn't expected Hua Yuan to fight her like this, not even in her wildest dreams. The spiritual shock she'd been constantly wary of hadn't come either, yet she'd suffered a huge loss in a close combat fight. She also felt a burning pain coming from her back. Hua Yuan's palms were like 2 chunks of metal when they viciously smashed into her back. Furthermore, she felt 2 gentle forces surge through her body as soon as his palms hit her. These forces that had seeped into her body could be described as gentle, but they had seeped directly into her internal organs. Unexpectedly, Wu Feng wasn't able to remove them in a short period of time, even with her tyrannical soul power. Thus, she had had no choice but to cough up a mouthful of blood in order to slow down the progression of her injuries. However, her internal organs had still been badly shaken. Hua Yuan's kick hadn't hurt that much, as there was a large amount of flesh on her bum. However, this had been done in front of the entirety of Class 1. Furthermore, a man had never touched her buttocks before, and, as soon as he kicked her, a strange feeling had begun to spread throughout her buttocks. This was the main reason that she'd stumbled after getting up. Bastard, I'm going to kill you. Wu Feng roared angrily, then pounced towards Hua Yuan like an enraged lioness. This time around, she didn't hold anything back. She instantly activated her first soul skill, Dragon Fire. The person who had the strongest self-augmenting soul skill amongst Class 1's assault-type soul masters was definitely Dalu and his White Tiger Vajra transformation. However, Wu Feng was the strongest person after Dalu. Her Dragon Fire and Dragon Fury had extremely strong self-augmenting abilities in addition to the increase in attack power they gave her. Because of this, Wu Feng was definitely an expert in close quarters combat. If Dalu didn't use his third soul skill, the two of them would definitely end up locked in a stalemate during a close combat fight. And yet, she just suffered a loss to Hua Yuan, and it hadn't been a small loss either. Hua Yuan continued to keep his eyes shut, but his expression became serious. He'd been able to injure Wu Feng in their close combat fight by catching her unaware and using of the Tang Clan's secret techniques in addition to his spiritual detection's foresight. At the same time, it was also because Wu Feng hadn't used any of her soul skills yet. Wu Feng's burning dragon fire instantly scorched everything within a foot of her. Because of this, the scorching stream of air struck Hua Yuan in the face before she'd even arrived. Hua Yuan was a spiritual type soul master, thus his spirit eyes weren't able to strengthen his body in any way. He could predict all of her moves, but he wasn't able to break through Wu Feng's defensive soul skills. However, Hua Yuan didn't choose to retreat. He knew that he hadn't had much of a chance in the first place, and that being able to take advantage of his opponent's lack of awareness was already an extremely good result for him. However, Hua Yuan didn't want to admit defeat. Even if he only had a sliver of hope left, he didn't want to give up. As such, Hua Yuan chose not to retreat. As he withstood the high temperatures that were assaulting him, he used his ghost shadow perplexing track to rush towards Wu Feng. This time around, Wu Feng didn't choose to jump into the air. Instead, she rushed towards Hua Yuan on foot. The moment that Wu Feng was close enough to strike Hua Yuan, she stopped and sent her left hand towards Hua Yuan's stomach while firmly balanced. As a core disciple, even though Wu Feng had a fiery disposition, she definitely wasn't an impulsive person. After suffering a loss to Hua Yuan, she definitely paid attention to his attacks. Facing Wu Feng's palm strike, Hua Yuan suddenly leaned to the left and dodged her attack. Making sure not to enter the 1-foot area around Wu Feng, he crouched down and sidestepped to her right side. Like a bolt of lightning, Wu Feng sent a kick flying straight towards Hua Yuan with her right leg. Her kicking speed was extremely fast, and her leg reached Hua Yuan's chest in the blink of an eye. However, at that moment, Hua Yuan unexpectedly slipped. He seemed to fall down, as if he'd lost control of his body. Wu Feng's kick brushed past his chest as if it was stuck to it, instantly charring the front of Hua Yuan's shirt. At the same time, the scorching hot temperatures from Wu Feng's dragon fire enveloped his body. Hua Yuan's spiritual detection wasn't omnipotent, as his physical speed couldn't follow the speed of his thoughts. He'd used up the of his energy in order to dodge Wu Feng's last attack. Wu Feng had missed, which resulted in her back being exposed to Hua Yuan. Whilst leaning backwards, Hua Yuan grabbed onto Wu Feng and, enduring the high temperatures caused by her dragon fire, viciously kicked Wu Feng's back, causing her to stumble forward. However, Hua Yuan immediately let go after grabbing a hold of her. With her dragon fire, the temperature surrounding Wu Feng's body in a 1-foot radius was simply too high. Furthermore, he'd felt that something was amiss after he'd grabbed her. He'd grabbed a hold of 2 extremely elastic yet firm nouns, which had instantly tightened the moment he touched them. However, his hands had actually bounced off them. Hua Yuan had only grasped hold of Wu Feng's clothes. No, it would be more accurate to say that he'd grabbed her dress. Hua Yuan was dazed in that instant, and in turn had unconsciously lowered the direction of his kick. When Wu Feng stumbled forward, she unconsciously held onto her skirt. In a state of embarrassment and anger, she rapidly entered a half-squatting position after sweeping her right leg backwards. This guy. After doing such a shameful deed, one would definitely be distracted for a brief moment, and Hua Yuan was no exception. Though he hadn't seen them with his eyes, the 3-dimensional image he'd seen in his mind wasn't too far off from the real things. Just as he blurted out the words, "I didn't see anything," Wu Feng's kick arrived in his face. Dodging Wu Feng's kick was impossible. Thus, Hua Yuan could only helplessly block Wu Feng's attack with the mysterious jade hands. Wu Feng was extremely strong, and she'd even used her soul power to strengthen her attack. Wu Feng's kick resembled an enormous, burning piece of iron as it viciously slammed into Hua Yuan, who was forced to the ground from the force. Hua Yuan wasn't slaughtered from Wu Feng's attack due to the protection of the mysterious jade hands. However, her kick had simply been too powerful. He wasn't able to withstand it by merely relying on the strength of his arms. As the back of his arm smashed into his face, Hua Yuan felt his mind go faint, while his nose began bleeding intensely. Wu Feng had finally managed to protect her skirt from being torn off after she kicked Hua Yuan away, and could feel herself getting madder and madder as the fight went on. Hua Yuan, you son of a bitch. The intense red light surrounding Wu Feng's body instantly turned dark red as she activated her second soul skill, Dragon Fire. Her entire body now resembled a genuine red dragon as she pounced towards Hua Yuao. It seemed like she wouldn't be able to rest without killing him. In that instant, Hua Yuao finally opened his eyes. Just as Wang Yan was about to save Hua Yuao from Wu Feng's attack, he couldn't help but pause his footsteps. Even with the scarlet flames surrounding Wu Feng, the trace of gold within Hua Yuao's eyes couldn't be concealed. In her enraged state, Wu Feng had forgotten to defend herself against Hua Yuao's true attack. Wu Feng felt as if her brain had been gently pricked by a needle, which instantly caused her to become dazed for a moment. Following that, the dark red light on her body dimmed slightly. She subconsciously buried her head within her hands because of the pain caused by Hua Yuao's spiritual shock. Taking advantage of the opportunity, Hua Yuao jumped into the air and shot towards Wu Feng. He grabbed onto Wu Feng's clothes with his hands in an attempt to throw her to the ground. However, even though Hua Yuao's calculating abilities were extremely precise, there were still times when even he made a mistake. He'd underestimated the strength of Wu Feng's dragon fury and neglected the injury that his arm had suffered from Wu Feng's kick. He managed to grab a hold of Wu Feng's clothes, but he was immediately engulfed by a boiling stream of hot air afterwards. The intense waves of heat struck him in the face and made it seem like he touched the sun itself. His sleeves instantly turned to ash, and he subconsciously loosened his grip right as he was about to pull his arms back due to the extreme pain that had suddenly spread from his hands. Even though Wu Feng had been struck by Hua Yuao's spiritual shock, she still had her basic combat instincts. While she was still struggling subconsciously, she slammed her right arm into Hua Yuao's chest and forcefully flung him away. Wu Feng's blow was simply too heavy. Though his bones didn't shatter due to the soul power protecting his body, Wu Feng's blazing fire energy still madly surged into his body. As he flew through the air, he couldn't help but cough up a mouthful of blood. When he finally landed on the ground, everything in front of his eyes turned dark and he nearly fainted. At the same time, Wu Feng kneeled on the ground with her head buried in her arms and let out painful groans. Having stored up so much energy, Hua Yuao's spiritual shock wasn't something that could be easily endured. There were traces of blood flowing from Wu Feng's nose, but she was still in slightly better condition than Hua Yuao. It's finally ended. Wang Yan sighed inwardly. Though Hua Yuao had lost, it could be considered a glorious defeat. For him to be able to injure Wu Feng in a close combat fight, with his current cultivation, was already something he could be proud of. After all, he was a soul master that specialized in the control and auxiliary systems. Wang Yan had never expected him to be so skilled in close combat fight. However, was it truly over? Still hugging her head, Wu Feng slowly stood up. However, she wasn't able to stabilize her footing due to the intense pain coming from her head. Humiliation. This was an enormous humiliation. After alleviating the intense headache she had with much difficulty, Wu Feng discovered that Wang Yan was standing between the two of them. She knew that she wouldn't be able to make a move against Hua Yuao for the time being, but the anger in her heart caused her to hysterically yell out, "Hua Yuao, you just wait. As long as you stay within Class 1, I'll keep targeting you till the day you screw off from Shrek Academy." As everyone gazed on, Hua Yuao began to crawl back up with great difficulty, to the astonishment of the onlooking students. A slight hint of red had appeared in Hua Yuao's as the instant he raised his head. He gazed coldly at the nearby Wu Feng, making it seem as if he were a bloodthirsty tiger that was about to devour its prey. The hysterical Wu Feng felt as if she'd suddenly been stung by a poisonous scorpion, and a chill ran up her spine. "I haven't lost yet." Hua Yuao's voice was somewhat hoarse, but it was filled with decisiveness. Right, he hadn't lost yet. As long as he had a trace of energy left in him, Hua Yuao would never admit defeat. With obstinance and perseverance in his heart supporting him, both the suffering his body had experienced and the humiliation he'd suffered from her insults instantly caused the resentment he'd suppressed for so many years to erupt like a geyser. At that exact moment, his body suddenly trembled. Immediately afterwards, the pale red in his eyes once again changed color, becoming a terrifying grey filled with the aura of death. Thanks so much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Also leave a comment down below with suggestions on what novels to read.